I want to hit some soldiers that are just weary and tired from the battle. Because we are in war. And church, I'm here to tell you, this is war. If you have your Bibles, you can turn with me in Deuteronomy 20, verses 1 through 4. Verse 1, and then we're going to go over to Zechariah 10, verse 5. But Deuteronomy 20, 1 through 4 says this: When thou goest out to battle against thine enemies, and seest horses and chariots and people more than thou, be not afraid of them. For the Lord thy God is with thee. For the Lord thy God is with thee, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And it shall be when ye are come nigh unto the battle, that the priest shall approach and speak unto the people, and shall say unto them, Hear, O Israel, ye approach this day unto battle against your enemies. Let not your hearts faint. Fear not, and do not tremble. Neither be ye terrified because of them. For the Lord your God, He is that goeth with you, to fight for you against your enemies, to save you. Zechariah 10 and 5 says, And they shall be as mighty men, which tread down their enemies in the mire of the streets in the battle. And they shall fight because the Lord is with them. And the riders on horses shall be confounded. You may be seated. And today I want to speak to you simply, this is war. Can you say, this is war? Can you say it like you really mean it now? This is war. I was scrolling through Facebook the other day, and I really don't remember what the name of the page is, but there's a page that I liked because it's a self-help. It does a lot of mental and spiritual warfare, and it's a self-help for men page. And a lot of times they do these polls, and they ask these questions, and then they present different psychologists and even sometimes ministers. But that day their poll was, do you think that war is ever necessary? And Pastor, it hit me like a ton of bricks. Do you think that war is ever necessary? My reply to that would be simply yes, 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 1,000 times yes, because there are definitely some times war is necessary. There are times that we will have to decide in our mind that there are some things worth fighting for, and there are some things that we must fight for, and that there are also some things that are worth dying for. We have some people in our country that think we should play patty cake with our enemies, that we should give in and try to cater to their wants and their needs. But can I tell you, it reminds me of a story, and the story simply goes like this. It was one day, it was a cold winter day. A farmer found a snake by the roadside, stiff and motionless with cold. If you put me inside your shirt, said the snake, your body will make me warm and I won't freeze to death. Oh, I know you're kind, said the farmer. If I pick you up, you will bite me. Oh, no, said the snake. Why would I do such a thing after you've helped me? So the farmer had compassion on the snake, and taking it up, he put it inside his shirt. The warmth quickly revived the snake, and resuming its natural instincts, it bit its benefactor, inflicting on him a mortal wound. Oh, cried the farmer, why did you bite me? You promised you wouldn't. But the snake said, you knew I was a snake when you picked me up. There are some times it's not time to patty cake with the enemy. There's some times you've got to wake up and realize what you're working with. There's some times you've got to realize what you're dealing with. And it's no time to go lighthearted or easy. You see, as Christians, we should seek peace, but there's also times we must realize it is time for war. And many times where we fail is recognizing the enemy. That is where we lose the battle, simply failing to recognize the enemy. Your enemy is not your spouse. It is not your children. The enemy is not your neighbor. It is not your boss. See, the enemy keeps you confused and keeps us dazed by fighting the wrong enemy with the wrong weapons. We end up trying to fight fleshly battles with words and actions that are actual spiritual battles that can only be fought in a prayer room through prayer and fasting and supplication. He keeps us in the wrong area, fighting the wrong enemy with the wrong weapons. It is not the person we are fighting. It is the spirits that they have allowed to control them. We read in the Word in 2 Corinthians 10 and 3 through 4, it says, "For though ye walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds." And then Ephesians 6 and 12 says it like this: "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." And too many times we put a face on that instead. The devil is hot. He knows he don't have long, and he's after you. He's after me. And he's pulling out every stunt he can. But we must stop trying to win the battle in the flesh that is actual spiritual warfare. See, it was a small lad named David that knew this more than any of us. What looked like such a physical battle to everyone that stood around and watched him, he knew was actually a spiritual battle, not a physical. When he ran to Goliath, he never said, "I come to you with a slingshot and a stone." But in actuality, he ran up and said, "You come to me." He said, "Then said David unto the Philistines, Thou comest to me with a sword and with a spear and with a shield." In other words, he said, "You come to me carnal." He said, "But I come to you in the name of the Lord of the host, the God of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied." He said, "You come to me with carnal things, but I'm coming to you with some spiritual things. I'm coming to my enemy with some prayer behind me. I'm coming to my enemy with some fasting behind me, because I know I'm not fighting physical. I am fighting a spiritual war." This is war, and it calls for a serious weapon. You can never win a gunfight with a pocket knife. And that's what the church is trying to do too many times. It is time that we shake ourselves, that we awaken ourselves, and that we find a prayer room. And the old movie says a war room. I go to war on my knees. I know that I'm fighting for my soul. I'm not only fighting for my soul, but I'm fighting for my children's soul. I'm fighting for their children's soul. I'm in a fight to the finish, because this is serious. This is my everything. This is no trifling matter. This is my everything. Can somebody say, "This is my everything"? This is war. David first, he recognized the enemy. But he also realized it was a spiritual and not a carnal. He knew the slingshot within itself would never do. He knew it had to be the Spirit of the Lord. He had to be clothed in the Spirit and the power and the glory of God to win the battle. Though it looked physical, indeed it was a mighty spiritual war going on. Some of us have been fighting battles and the devil sits back and laughs. Shake yourself. If you're going to win the war, you better have the right artillery and you better be aiming at the right enemy. The flesh will never triumph over a spiritual war. We are in the last day, and I firmly believe we are in fact in the last hours. If there has ever been a time that full-blown war is necessary, yes, it is now. Yes to your poll, men's self-help page. Yes, this is the time for war. This is the time that war is necessary, because the enemy is going to and fro, seeking whom he may devour. And if we're not on our toes, if we're not fighting, we will lose the war. Satan is desperate, and at this point of the war, the faint of heart will not stand. The idea of doing just enough will never be enough in the hour we live. This is war. It was Thomas Paine, and I've quoted this before, but wow, what a powerful speech. He meant it physical, but this is spiritual too. Thomas Paine on December the 23rd, 1776 published The Crisis. He said simply this: these are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from the service of their country. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will shrink from the service of their country in this crisis. But he that stands by it now deserves the love and thanks of man and women. Tyranny like hell is not easily conquered. Yet we have this consolation with us, that the harder the conflict, the more glorious the triumph. What we obtain too cheap, we esteem too highly. It is dearness only that gives everything its value. Heaven knows how to put a proper price upon its goods. I want to say it again. I want to sink in. Heaven knows how to put a proper price upon its goods. And it would be strange indeed if so celestial an article as freedom could not be highly rated. It was at this time that the American Revolution didn't look very hopeful or attainable even. But Paine wrote this trying to muster up the fight in the colonists. But Paine wrote this and was sending his message. His message really was this: if freedom from the country we fled from means nothing to you, or if it means anything to you, this is war. If freedom for your children and your descendants means anything to you, then this is war. It's worth fighting for. Stand up. This is war. He was saying freedom will never be won by the slackers, the doubters, those faint of heart. It will never come to the ones that are willing to, it'll only come to the ones that are willing to fight. Truly, this is a time for war. He was saying war is not just an option. In fact, war is a necessity. If you want your freedom, if you want your children to know freedom, if you want them to know this glorious truth, if you want them to be saved, this is the time. War is a necessity. You better go to war if it means anything at all to you. So our forefathers rose up and said, hey, you know what? I think there are some things that's worth fighting for. Our freedom is worth fighting for. Our children's freedom, it's worth fighting for. They decided that anyone who wanted freedom, it was worth fighting for. And not only did they say that it was worth fighting for, but they declared, this is worth dying for. This is war. And it was Patrick Henry who stood on March the 23rd of 1775 and declared, give me liberty or give me death. I wish some saints of God that really want your children to be free. I wish some saints of God that really wanted to see your community saved would rise up and say, give me liberty or give me death. This is war. I'm going down. This is war. What you do in this warfare is bigger than you. It ain't just about you. But you better go to war for your kids, your descendants, your community, your co-workers. They're depending on you. They're dying in the battle. They're dead. But you can win the battle for them. They're depending on you. This war is bigger than you. And Patrick Henry, that's what he knew. He said, I'll die if I have to, because I know this is not just about my freedom, but this is about the whole country. This is about people that I will never meet. Ages and centuries and generations down from me. If I don't stand up, they'll never know what freedom is. If I don't fight this war, they'll never be free. They'll never know what it's like to be free if I don't fight the battle, if I don't go to war. So he said, yes, I'll gladly go. Come on. He said, England, this is war. And on April the 18th of 1775, Paul Revere would take a midnight ride. He would ride through on horseback yelling, the British are coming. The British are coming. What he was really saying was, the enemy's here. Come on. The enemy is here. Rise up, every able-bodied person. The enemy has come, and it is time to fight. Your life, your freedom is all at stake. There's no mistaking it's going to be a fight to the finish, but it's worth fighting. Soldiers, hear me. Come on, the enemy is here, and you must rise to the occasion. Every able-bodied soldier, I beg you, rise up and fight. This is war. Your freedom is at stake. Your children are at stake. Your community, your co-workers, it's at stake. Will you rise up and fight? Yet here we are again in 2019, the last hours, the midnight hour. And yet a voice calls through the darkness yet again. The enemy is here. The enemy is come. The enemy is come. Who will join in the fight? Who will rise up from their slumbering sleep? And who will shake yourself and declare, Satan, this is war. Satan, you're not going to take my peace of mind. Satan, you're not going to have my children, my grandchildren. No, not on my watch, devil. This is war. This is war. It is time that we stand up and fight. We're in the midnight hour, the last hours. Satan, I didn't come this far to surrender now. I didn't come this far to surrender now. I started this fight, and I'm going to fight the good fight until the end. I'm keeping my freedom. I like what he said. He said, the country we left behind. You see, the colonists, they had left behind a place that they couldn't live anymore. And I don't know about you, but a long time ago, I left a place I couldn't live no more. I declared boldly to the Lord, I can't live like this no more, God. I'm miserable, and I know there's a better way. And so just like the colonists, I set out on a journey a long time ago at an altar. And I declared boldly, I'm leaving those things. I'm leaving Egypt behind. I'm leaving those things. I'm coming over to Canaan side here. I can't live like that no more. But the devil was dead set that he is going to bring you back. He's dead set he's going to bring me back to Egypt. But can I tell you, if you want to keep living on Canaan's side, can I tell you, it's going to be a fight. It's going to be war. You're going to have to fight for it. My soul, my children, my neighbors, my loved ones, they are worth fighting for. In fact, they are worth dying for. And when I say dying, I don't mean a physical dying. Where we miss it here, we've come so spoiled. And the age we live in, the country, I thank God for our freedom, but sometimes we get too spoiled. Paul declared, he said, I die daily. What he actually was talking about is crucifying this flesh. See, he crucified the flesh with some fasting and some prayer life. And sometimes we get so used to coming in church and having our own little, our 3 songs or 2 songs or whatever, our testimony service, our little message. We go home and have lunch. We have settled, instead of fighting a war and winning, we have settled for a form of godliness but denied the power thereof. Because we have Mark 9, let me read you this story. Mark 9, 17 through 29. Multimedia, they're going to kill me. I don't give them all my scripture. I just always give them the main ones, except for when I did the 46 slides. Mark 9, 17 through 29. 17 through 29. And one of the multitude answered and said, Master, I have brought unto thee my son, which hath a dumb spirit. And wheresoever I taketh him, he teareth him, and he foameth, and gnasheth his teeth, and pineth away. And I spake to thy disciples that they should cast him out. And they could not. He answered him and said, O faithless generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? bring him unto me. And they brought him unto him, and when he saw him, straightway the spirit tare him. And he fell on the ground and wallowed, foaming. And he asked his father, How long is it ago since this came upon him? And he said, Of a child. And oft times it hath cast him into the fire and into the waters to destroy him. But if thou canst do anything, have compassion on us and help us. Jesus said unto him, If thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. And straightway the father of the child cried out and said with tears, Lord, I believe. Help thou my unbelief. When Jesus saw that the people came running together, he rebuked the foul spirit, saying unto him, Thou dumb and deaf spirit, I charge thee, come out of him, and enter not no more unto him. And the spirit cried and rent him sore, and came out of him. And he was as one dead, insomuch that many said he is dead. But Jesus took him by the hand, and lifted him up, and arose. When he was come into the house, his disciples asked him privately, Why could not we cast him out? And he said unto them, This kind can come forth by nothing but prayer and fasting. Let me give you my version of this story. Here comes a father, and he has a son that is taken with a deaf and dumb spirit. And he tells Jesus, he says, Jesus, he said, there is a spirit in my boy, and it has left him deaf and dumb, and this spirit desires to kill him. There were many times that the spirit would well up in him and try to cause him to jump into fires, cause him to jump in the waters. And if it wasn't for me saving him, he would have died. Jesus, he said, and Jesus, I come to your disciples and I ask them to cast the spirit out. And they could not do it. And then the disciples, they turn around and they're looking at Jesus. And whenever they get off private, because they're embarrassed, they said, Jesus, let me tell you what they were really asking. Why couldn't we win the war? He said, because there's some things you got to put away the pocket knife and get out the big guns. There's sometimes you got to get in your prayer war, in your war room, and there's sometimes you got to get some prayer and some fasting behind you. There's some victories that call for big guns and not pocket knives. You've got to declare sometimes this is war, and I'm coming out with the big guns. And then, if I say that I want my loved ones to be saved, if I say I want the chains to fall, if I say that I want my community to be saved, if I say I want my co-workers saved, I want my children and her children and their children's children to be saved, but yet I have no days scheduled of fasting, if I have no days that I do not read God's Word, if I have no days that I do not find time somewhere to get along with the Lord, then I am a hypocrite and I am a liar. I know I've said it before, but Vesta Mangan said it like this. She said, if adultery can be committed of the heart, so can atheism. She said, every day that you go that you don't pray, every day that you go that you don't read God's Word, as long as you go with those scheduled days of fasting, you are saying there is no God and I don't need Him. But I'm here to tell you, this is war. I'm here to tell you, if you want to be free, if you want to make it, if you want your children and your community, your neighbors to make it, you better find a war room, because these things only come out by prayer and fasting. You can't just come to church on Sunday morning and sit on your pew, look good in your suit and your new dress, and go home and cast out devils. There's got to be some dedication, some consecration behind you. You can't avail anything looking pretty, sitting on the pew. You've got to get serious, because this is war. Woo! You better shake yourself, old sleeping giant. Lackadaisical and being just lazy And just doing enough is not enough in this hour. We are in the last hours, and it's the heat of the battle. And we need every man on board. We need every woman on board. We need you giving everything you got. Your children in this community is dependent on you. This is war. I'm trying to wake some warriors up that's lulled to sleep. Now I want to hit on some of us that's here too. I want to hit on some soldiers that are just tired and weary, and you just wore out, because war will do it to you. It was December the 1st, 1955. There was a little lady, and a whole race had been mistreated. And she had been working all day. And history said that she was tired because she had worked so long. And she made her way, and they told her that her place was in the back of the bus. So she sits down in the back of the bus where she was told that's where she belonged. But then that wasn't good enough. They had some people of another race that stepped on board, and their section had filled up. So the bus driver goes and asks Rosa Parks, said, Rosa Parks, you're going to have to get up and go on back and stand up the rest of because we have to have these people sit here. And Rosa Parks stood up and she said, not today, no. And she refused to give up her seat on the bus. I want to talk to some weary soldiers that you've been pushed in the corner and you've been tattered and torn and you're just tired and weary. I want to tell you, today you need to declare war. You need to say, devil, not today. You're not taking my peace of mind. You're not taking my joy. Not today. This is war. Somebody say, this is war. Come on, say it like you mean it. This is war. The amazing thing that really stuck out, though, Rosa Parks was later interviewed, and here's what I like, and some of you can relate to it today. She said, they asked her, they said you'd worked a double shift, honey, and you was tired. The reporter asked her. She said, no, ma'am. She said, I wasn't tired. She said, I wasn't no more tired than I always was. She said, you can look up, she said this. She said, the only tired I was is I was tired of giving in. Somebody here today, are you tired of giving in? You need to stand up and say, this is war, not today. This is going to change. I'm tired of giving in. I'm tired of giving my peace of mind. I'm tired of giving my joy. Not today, devil. This is war. Come on, this is war. Woo! This is war. You don't have to leave here like you came. You don't have to leave here tormented. You don't have to leave here hopeless and then full of doubt and fear. You can declare war today. You can leave here changed. Woo! Come on. This is war. But you weary soldiers, yes, it's been a long, hard battle. Yes, we fought, and yes, it's been hard and it's been long. But can I tell you something that I noticed about Rosa Parks? Rosa Parks got tired and fed up. And she said, not today. And she took a stand. But she did not know what the outcome would be. The world was totally against her at that point. But she took a chance. And she said, I'm going to stand regardless because today this has to end. This is war. She didn't know what the outcome was going to be. But weary soldiers of the cross, yes, you've had it hard. Yes, it's been long. But can I tell you something different about your problem, your war? You were already declared the winner before it started. Woo! You're already the winner. Sister Michelle, just come on up here. I have a lot more, but I just feel the power. You win. I want somebody to stand up. If you want your family to be saved, if you're tired of things that bombard your mind, if you're tired of sleepless nights, if you're tired of being troubled and tormented by spirits, if you're tired of being tormented by your past, can I tell you something today? This is war, but you can be free. You can have deliverance. This is war, but you're a winner already, as long as you stand up and fight. Not today, devil. I wish some people would just get fed up with being fed up. The devil tells you every day your children will never be free. Pray on, weary pilgrim. The devil tells you every day your circumstances is never going to change. Fight on, pilgrim and soldier of the cross. You don't see the victory or the way out. But victory was already promised. You win if you just fight till the end. Don't be weary. My grandmother, well, I was just a small kid, and many of you will not even know this, but only the older people. She would babysit me sometimes when my mom and dad had to work. And she would sing a song that's older than old. But it was simply, when the battle's over, we shall wear a crown. We shall wear a crown in that new Jerusalem. I know you're tired. I know you're weary. But can I remind you, when thou goest out to battle against thine enemies, and seest horses and chariots and people more than thou, be not afraid of them, for the Lord thy God is with thee, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. He didn't bring you this far to leave you. Victory is yours if you'll only endure to the end. Be not weary in well-doing, for in due season ye shall reap if you faint not. I just want to encourage some soldiers of the cross today. I know it's been long and you've cried yourself to sleep. I know life don't make sense sometimes. But when the battle's over, you're going to wear a crown. Just press on, weary pilgrim. There's just a few more days to labor. If you will, if you want to come to the front as they sing, I simply want to remind you that we're almost home. The battle's been long, but this is war. If you want victory, you're going to have to declare some more. There's going to have to be, you're going to have to really get with it. Like I said, you can't win with a pocket knife. You're going to have to get the heavy artillery out. If we'll fight and really wake ourselves, shake ourselves. If this church and me, I'm including myself, I'm not saying that I got it all and I pray 24/7. I'm not saying that. I'm saying if we all get together, if we all find a war room, if we all find some day, every day, find some place alone with God, if we start fighting a spiritual warfare with the spiritual battle like it's a spiritual battle, instead of trying to fight it in the flesh with words and actions, if we just turn it over to the Lord, if we get some days of fasting behind us, if we get some heavy artillery behind us with Bible reading, fasting, if we can get it, the walls will fall. You see, all through history there was a war cry. And what the war cry was to let the enemy know that this is war. I'm not taking this anymore. I'm coming in on you. And the war cry would spike fear in the hearts of the enemy, because they knew, hey, we done made them mad, and they coming out with everything they've got. My grandmother, she used to be in church, and when she would get out a war cry, she sounded like an Apache Indian. And I probably can't do it like her. But she'd get the feel of the Spirit, and I want you to see Grandma doing this. And about this time, she'd start doing this twirling. And all at once she'd be, woo! And you knew she done capped in on some war. She was telling the enemy, Satan, this is war. I wish some people that was fed up, being fed up, would let out a good war cry and say, Satan, today this is war. This ends today. It's over today. I declare war. This is war. I'm pulling out the big guns. I'm pulling out some prayer. I'm pulling out some fasting. I'm pulling out some reading the Word. Because it's not just that I'm dependent on it. Charity, I declare war. Oftentimes, when I'm alone, I declare war not only for myself, but for you. And every parent in here, I know you do the same thing for yours. I can't afford to lose this war, because it's just not about me. It's about that one. And it's about all of y'all in the community. This battle is bigger than just you. You can't afford to just retreat and give it up. You better fight with everything you've got. And you better, the day you die, you better go down swinging. Because this is no small battle. We are in the war of our life. And for our life, this is war.
When I walk through the water.